In this video, I'm making a custom iron wrench by melting some iron in an ordinary microwave oven. Sounds impossible, not as impossible as you making through this whole video without clicking off. Now that's funny. I understand. My attention span is also not as good as it used to be. I'll show you. Look, a fly! Give me 18 seconds to explain how it works to new viewers. I use homemade silicon carbide crucibles because silicon carbide absorbs microwaves and heats up. Put the crucible inside of an insulating chamber and you can melt metals. And the same way works the microwave kiln. We have silicon carbide rings that also heat up in the microwave.
I designed and printed pieces of wrench in PLA. I used fine silica sand and sodium silicate to make my molds. After making the mold, I put it in a freezer and froze it. Most of times I prefer to microwave cure my molds, but this time I used oven since I had another mold I needed to cure. And then I put it in the microwave kiln and I burned it out. This is just an ordinary microwave and homemade microwave kiln that I have showed how to make in my other videos. The way I control the burnout is simple. I use a cycle timer, no pit controllers, nothing complicated. Just a handheld thermometer and taking notes. And here I'm just preheating some iron before putting it inside of the microwave. You can tell I need better gloves because part of them emigrated to the mold as it was hot. That's why there's some black spots on it.
I made this part of wrench 4 months ago and it's been sitting on my desk because I failed to cast these two holes. I thought that drilling cast iron was difficult and I based it on my experience. I once made something out of cast iron and I just couldn't drill a hole. Long story short, you can drill cast iron, and I think what happened is that the first time what I melted wasn't cast iron. It was something else. It was something I picked up from hardware store gates section. What metal did I melt? I have no idea. Unfortunately, I learned that drilling cast iron is not a problem after I made another wrench.
So I printed another wrench, this time translucent blue. I packed the sand in holes first. I'm not sure why I didn't do it the first time, maybe I forgot. Hopefully this time it will cast perfectly. This time, casting holes was success. Time to cast this jaw. Because of supports, one of the sides is not as smooth. This time I didn't freeze the mold, and instead of oven curing, I microwave cured it, which means I microwaved it on low power with cycle timer until it was mostly cured. And yes, I know you can use CO2, but I can also microwave it. And by the way, normally I don't measure the temperature that often, I just do it because of the camera.
Okay, so this came out great, though this side obviously is looking rough because of all the layer lines. A new day, it's time to cast the thumb wheel and the pin. So the sprue in this case is going to be the pin, and then we have the thumb wheel, or whatever it's called. Now, it probably would have been better to print it in resin, but after thinking it over, I decided not to do any resin casting in this video. I was also considering doing everything in resin, but we'll keep the resin casting for some other video.
Let's make sure the hole casts properly. For those who haven't seen, I use this 3D printed tool to make these trays, and I can make them in different sizes. All the molds and tools I use in this video, like sand molds, crucible molds, tray molds, etc., are available on my Patreon.
This is what happens when you don't scrape out the metal or pour it out. There's some iron in the crucible and I just can't get it out. Sometimes when there's aluminum or other metals you can kind of bend it and pull it out, but this time it's quite stuck and it's already broke a piece of the crucible. And it's just risky to try to break it. I could break the crucible. So we'll leave it, we'll melt it. Probably this piece will melt first, and the one that's in the air, kind of, it might not even melt as fast. Luckily, if I need to make more crucibles, it costs me less than 2 euros in material, because I buy my silicon carbide in 25 kilogram bags. And speaking about silicon carbide, today's sponsor is Stanford Advanced Materials. I browsed their webpage and the first thing I searched was silicon carbide. They have lots of silicon carbide materials, but one that caught my eye was a refractory brick made out of silicon carbide. I didn't even know something like this existed. Now, do I need one? Probably not, at least not in this workshop. But do I want to stick one in a microwave? Yes. Well, I'm kidding, I would never do that. And here are a few materials that I have used or I have heard about. Aluminum powder, boron nitride, and lots of crucibles. So if you're building, experimenting, researching or manufacturing, definitely check them out. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks Stanford Advanced Materials for sponsoring this video. So I was sanding and making sure that everything works as it should. So for now I'm using a plastic pin just to make sure everything is fine before I put in the final pin. Now I did make a few mistakes. I could fix them easily in theory, but I'm not gonna do it. I didn't realize that the original print, it has a gap, and I hadn't fixed it. And I only noticed it now after casting. Another thing that contributed to it is that when I did the second cast, I made it a little bit bigger to make sure this jaw would fit looser and it would be easier for me. And that also contributed to, basically, it doesn't close completely, and obviously it's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit smaller. Does it matter? Well, in this case, not really. And the second mistake is that this little thumb wheel, I didn't realize that I had to make it fit perfectly, and I just sanded it too much. Now, because there was a little gap, obviously it made this jaw move a bit. I did put a little washer, though there's still a little space. Again, could fix it, but it's fine. Because I live in an apartment and I can't make a lot of noise, or I can't make noise at certain times, sometimes I've just come to my other workshop, which is a car park. It appears to me that the head gasket is losing transmission oil. I didn't want the pin to be too tight in case I need to remove it. So I might need to use a little bit of glue so it doesn't fall out. And I'll use a bit of grease to grease the wrench, though I'm not sure if I'm supposed to. And this is all I got. I'm not gonna buy anything special. A little bit of grease from a 3D printer. I'm not gonna pretend it's perfect. It's a bit wobbly. But I have used wrenches like this that were bought from the store. I think I might have sanded away too much material, or it's to do with the fact that I printed it a little bit bigger. But I love the way it looks. It's the best looking wrench that I have ever owned. But does it work?
So I went outside to try out the wrench. Adjusting it worked as it should. And that's pretty much it. As it snapped.
What just happened? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping it will last a little bit longer. But that's alright. We learned something. I know cast iron is brittle, but I just wanted to see how far we can push it. What can we make? Well, looks like a wrench, adjustable wrench, is not a good idea. Obviously, this was a weak spot. I use, for example, this hammer all the time that I made, or this tool, or the bottle opener that I made, and they haven't broke. Obviously, it's way thicker. But I bet if I remake this jaw in different metal, maybe carbon steel. We made it in a previous video by melting some rebar. And by the way, somebody asked me if I could cut it in half to see the inside. We'll do it in a second. I think if I would remake it in carbon steel, maybe it would be much better. So I suppose there's more videos coming. But now, let's cut it in half. If you enjoyed this video, you can help out by pressing like and subscribe for the second part where we'll make this part or whole wrench in different metal.